Hello, beautiful people. This is Marisa Anglade on giving you the tea on everything healthy. Today's tea is going to be about diabetes, and we're just going to get right into it. We're going to talk about what you can do if you have type 2 diabetes. Now, there's type 1 as well, and then there's gestational diabetes that mainly happen with pregnant women, and then it's type 1 diabetes that mainly happens with children. And type 2 is usually an adult type disease, but more children are getting type 2 diabetes. Why? Because of lifestyle and obesity. And we're going to talk about what can be done because diabetes is actually reversible. And if you didn't know, well, now you know. And if you did know, good for you. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about it. Now, what are some of the warning signs? What are some of the symptoms to know that there is an issue? You're constantly thirsty. Always need a sip. Because I'm going to have a sip. Orange juice and lemon. And you're constantly thirsty. You're constantly having to urinate. No matter if you drink a lot, didn't drink a lot, you're constantly having to go to the bathroom. You're constantly thirsty. No matter how much water you drink, it is not quenching your thirst. And you're constantly hungry. No matter how much you eat, you're constantly hungry. Those are some of the signs. And for some people, it's a drastic weight loss. And for some people, it's gaining more weight. But those are just different symptoms that you would see that might raise an alarm for you to go to the doctor and check. And if you are going to check your blood sugar levels at the doctor, it should be after you fasted for 8 hours. You have not had anything to eat in 8 hours to get the accurate number, okay? And so now, if you don't do anything, diabetes is one of the easiest disease to remedy. You get fast. The results with working with disease is faster than any other disease I can think of at the top of my head. Now, in saying that, it can be, on the other hand, almost the worst disease when it's not taken care of. And some of the things that can happen is blindness, kidney issues where you end up in dialysis, amputations, neuropathy, numbness of the hands or tingling of the feet. This is where diabetes is actually getting worse, and it doesn't have to get there. It does not have to go there. We have to be educated. We have to learn what is making us sick and doing the things necessary to remedy it. So I'm going to share with you, I have my notes to stay on topic so I won't forget. What are the things that you have to do? And there are some things for some of us going to be easier to do, and some things a struggle. Don't give up. I'm a strong believer and constantly asking God to pray. Because one of the things I'm going to ask that for you to do, that needs to be done in order for you to see the results, that is one of the issues of what's causing diabetes, is related to your diet. Now, most people think it's the sugar, and just the sugar when it relates to diabetes. No, sweetheart, it's not always the sugar. It's the fat. And most of our fats, for those who are not on a plant-based diet, comes from animal products and their byproducts. We're talking about your ice cream, your butter, your cheese, your dairy, everything dairy, your meats, the fried food. The most fats come from animal products and their byproducts. Now, does that mean there are vegetarians and vegans out here never having diabetes? Now, there are those vegetarians and vegans cannot have the animal fat products, but they have the French fries, and sister love a French fry. But if I'm constantly eating just fatty foods that, even though it's not animal based, but it's in the same level of just having high fat diet, then I can be prone to also having diabetic. So there are healthy fats and there are not so healthy fats. And we'll talk about that. But no matter what the fat is, healthy or not, we cannot overdo the fats because it's just not healthy for us. We just need a handful of fats. Like you're talking about your healthy nuts, your walnuts, your cashews, those avocados. Those are healthy fats. Does that mean I overindulge in it? No. So when I say it's the fat baby, that means if it's unhealthy fats, it needs to be eliminated. If it's good fats, it needs to be taken in moderation. Does that make sense? So when we're thinking about diet, we want to make sure that we reduce the fat on the body and reduce the fat in the body. And that is at least having the healthy fats, which is good for you. But we don't want to overdo it. So I'm gonna give you an example. So let's say let's talk. You walked into my house, right? I opened the door, you walked in, and you went into my kitchen. You're like, Mauricia, there's water all over the floor. I mean, it's like I could go swimming in your kitchen. And I'm like, oh shoot. And then we both see the faucet is still running water. The sink is overflowed and the water just dripping on the floor. We're trying to think, what can we do to fix this, to remedy it? And if our first thought is to mop the floor, we didn't get to the cause of the problem, because we're going to be mopping forever because the cause is still ongoing. We didn't shut the cause off. And the first thing that we needed to go was find, okay, what's causing the puddle of water on my kitchen floor? Well, it's not the water that's causing the water. It's the running faucet. So what I'm supposed to do is turn off the water, which is the cause, and then do the remedy. Unplug the sink. Unplug the sink or unclog the sink. And then mop the floor. That's what we do. So if I say that the fat is the cause, but instead of removing the fat, you just went and just take medication, then what we did was the medication is the mop that we mop in the floor. We never really got rid of the cause. So we're going to always have an issue and be on that medication for the rest of our life because we didn't get to the root cause of the problem. And so fat is one of the main causes. A high-fat diet is one of the main causes to the onset of type 2 diabetes. So we have to reduce the fat in the diet and on the body. Now, does that mean I can have all the sugar I want? No, Houston, we have a problem. Once we have a problem, we cannot continue in the lifestyle that we used to partake of, because now we cannot have certain things that we used to have before, because now we have a problem. So if we're going to have sugar, it can't be from processed, refined sugar. And we're limited as a diabetic if we have diabetes. We are limited to what type of sweets we can have. And even the fruits are limited. So the ideal fruit for a diabetic is going to be the berries, because it's low in the glycemic index. It won't shoot the blood sugar up and then skyrocket up and then shoot it down. It's going to level not level up. It's going to level it, and where it just slowly goes up. And because why? It has fiber, and it is not overly registered in the body as high fructose or sugar. Okay, does that make sense? And so we talked about diet. So what we should have is whole grain foods. We're talking about your whole grain quinoa, millet, brown rice. We're talking about beans. All types of beans is good for a diabetic. We talk about your vegetables, because all these foods have fiber, and fiber is the friend that you need in your life. It gonna make sure nobody bully it. It's not gonna let nobody bully it to go up. It's not gonna make somebody bully it to go down. It gonna stay right there. It gonna stand its ground. You need fiber in your life, and fiber is what helps the blood sugar to level, take its time to go up, and take its time to level up, level where it needs to level. It's not going to skyrocket up. It's not going to shoot the blood sugar up, and it's not going to shut it down. And so you need fiber in your diet. So whole grain foods, beans, your veggies. I mentioned your grains. And lastly, you need fats in your diet. But what did I say? You don't need a whole lot. So if you was to have your breakfast, it would have been like you had a cup of some berries, some blueberries, and then you had, let's say, some I'm not a fan of oatmeal, so I don't want to say oatmeal. So let's say you had some quinoa, right? You had some quinoa with some beans, some black beans. You made some Cuban black beans, and you had some quinoa. Both of those have fiber. And at the end of that, and you like, Marisa, that sounds like dinner. No, you can have that for breakfast. It's food. And so you're going to have a handful of raw, unsalted nuts. That could be walnuts. That could be pecans. That can be cashews, Brazil nuts, almonds. Just a handful, raw and unsalted. If you soak it for a couple of hours before eating it, so it can be digestible for you, that is what you do. And I guarantee you, your blood sugar will stay level, and you don't have to worry about the blood sugar skyrocketing up. And that's just a sample breakfast. Your fruit first, and then you have your quinoa and black beans or any type of beans, and then a handful of nuts is what you do. Now, if you want to, you can sprinkle some flaxseed over your fruits, just to be on the safe side, to add that extra fiber while you still have your fruits. And so you definitely need fiber. Now, there was nothing fried, there was nothing greasy, and there was no fat as relates to unhealthy fats as relates to that breakfast meal sample that I gave you for breakfast. Now, you want to, as a diabetic, make sure you're getting in your water intake. You're getting it before you eat your meal, 30 minutes before you eat your first or second meal. You want to have it 1 hour to 2 hours after you eat, and you just drinking your water. Your water is your snack. Now, if you eat the proper diet, you don't have to worry about a low blood sugar or a high blood sugar. And then you wait the appropriate time for you to have your lunch. And so we're not constantly snacking and causing the body to overwork. So you drink water. So we're going to stay away from the commercial juices, the sodas, no juices. The only beverage of choice a diabetic should have is water. Water, 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 water. Just water, okay? That is what you should have as your beverage. Pure drinking water. Spring water, pure water, distilled water, well water. You need water. Not water juice, not vitamin water, just pure water. Now, if you want, you can add some lemon, fresh squeezed lemon to your water, but that's it. Now, the sleep time. That has a role in somebody that's a diabetic if their blood sugar is going to be high in the morning. If you're going to bed late, it's a no-no. Now, you should be asleep. Now, I didn't say in bed. You should be asleep. A recommendation. I ain't playing mama on you, but I'm just saying. If you would like the blood sugar to be normalized and not having to rely on medication, then you want to be asleep no later than 10. Optimal, ideally, by 9 o'clock, but no later than 10. The later you go to sleep, the more likely you will find that your blood sugar level will be high in the morning, because there's a time that the body rejuvenates, the time the body resets, and there's the time that the body heals itself. And those are many in the hours between 12 and 2, some say between 10 and 2. And if we're going to bed later, we're missing part of that healing that could take place when the body's repairing itself. And so, the later you go to sleep, the more likely your blood sugar is going to be up in the morning. And the other thing is, the later you're going to sleep, the more likely you have the munchies and want to eat something. And if you're going to eat something late at night, there's another reason why your blood sugar in the morning. So if you ever have woken up as a diabetic in the morning and saw that your blood sugar was up to the roof and you didn't even touch any breakfast, you have to be able to put your Inspector Gadget hat and ask the question, where was I last night? And so when you're up late at night, you're more likely going to have the late night creep into the refrigerator. And so we want to make sure that we're going to bed at a proper time. Now, what I'm sharing with for right now, as it relates to diabetes, this is a lifestyle for all of us, really. And all we can say is, help me, Jesus, to do the things that it is good for me to do. And so we talked about sleep. We talked about diet. Remember, staying away from your white rice, your white flour, trying to eliminate or reduce greatly processed refined foods that has no fiber, that is void of fiber. We want to make sure that we're having food that has fiber, all the beans, all the veggies, all the whole grains, low on the fats, and be mindful of certain fruits that are low in the glycemic index and not high. And then we're going to talk about exercise. Now, exercise is going to play two dual purposes. It's going to help, well, several purposes actually. It's going to help with bringing down the weight because we want to reduce the fat in and on the body. And so the exercise is going to help with reducing the fat on the body. Exercise also is going to help level the blood sugar. It's going to bring it down to normal numbers. I was told by a nurse that 5 units of insulin is produced by 1 hour of exercise. So 1 hour of walking will give you 5 units of insulin. So for somebody that's on the verge now or on insulin, guess what walking gonna do for you? Either take you off that insulin or reduce the amount of insulin that you need to have to take from your doctor. So walking is very helpful. It also not only helps reduce the fat on the body, it helps bring the blood sugar levels to a normal level, but it also is a way to handle stress because one of the other causes to hijacking up the blood sugar level is stress. Because you might be doing everything that I mentioned and eating right, eliminating things that is unhealthy, sleeping at a proper time, not eating late, but you're stressed out to the max. That will cause the blood sugar level to go up because the stress affects your hormones, and your hormones is also regulated in your pancreas, which helps with the insulin is connected with. And so, what do you think is going to happen? Your blood sugar is going to be responding to that. And so you'll see that it shows in your numbers. So exercise will help balance out the stress in the life. And finding other outlets that are healthy, whether talking to God, having a prayer life, having one that you trust, a confidant that you can vent to. Some people see a therapist. Some people claim the promise of God, affirmations. Finding healthy outlets that is not self-destructive in handling stress. One way is exercising. It creates endorphins, gives you that happy mood, take away every tension that will cause you to react out of that stress. So exercising is helpful even for sleeping, resting good at night for those who can't go to sleep because they're actually thinking when they should be turning this off. So that is another thing that you can add to your plate. Fresh air, getting outside and inhaling, exhaling, getting sunlight because it offers vitamin D, helps with your sex hormones, and even help with balance and stress. So you want to get out there and get some sun and some fresh air. So those are the things that you can do for a healthy lifestyle. Now I want to explain how your glucose works, so you can kind of give an idea why I said the fat. Now you have your glucose that is trying to get in your cells. We call them receptors. I'm going to give you the analogy of thinking about a door, okay? Or maybe no, let's go with the windows. I got windows almost all over my living room, and so, or at least the greater half of my more than half of my living room. And so I got windows in my living room. So this is a window, this is a window. All these are windows, okay? My fingers, all of these are windows. And so you have the glucose trying to get in to the doors, right? These are the windows. I'm sorry, the windows. And so let's say this is the glucose trying to get in here. These are the doors, the cells. They're trying to get in. But they ain't getting in. They can't get in because they need insulin. Insulin, hold on. I need that. I'm talking too much. Okay, so they need insulin, which is the key, right? Maybe I should use my hand. So this is the glucose. This is the cells, the windows that this needs to go into, but it can't go in because it needs the insulin, which is the key. So my hand is the key to let the insulin in. I mean, to open the doors, the windows, or the doors, the windows of the doors, for the glucose to come in. But the key ain't working. Why the key ain't working to the windows of the doors for the glucose to go in? I'll tell you why. Because they got fat all over. So this is the fat. The fat is all over the windows and the doors. And until that fat is removed, the key ain't gonna work for the insulin to go in. And so this is how the medication works. So the medication works like this. It opens up the windows and the doors, but not for long. It don't keep it open. It just open it, close it, open it, close. So if that insulin don't get in real quick, make it in there. It ain't enough insulin in there for the body or the pancreas to work properly. But when we stop adding more fat to the diet, and we add good stuff to the diet, and we exercise, the exercise start to drop the fat, balancing the stress, start taking out the fat, because we're not adding anymore. Now we're doing things that's removing the fat. Now the insulin, the insulin can come in, unlock the door so the glucose can come in and do its job properly. And if that ain't happening, then you're insulin resistant. And so we're finding out the culprit is mainly the fat. So we can start by reducing and eliminating the unhealthy fats and being moderate with the healthy fats. And see the beauty of making lifestyle changes where you don't have to get to the place of amputation, blindness, dialysis. Now, I worked with a guy, two different people. And it's sad, he passed. He just would not want to make the changes. He loved food so much. I worked with him. He went to lifestyle centers and got help there. He'll start off doing great and just fall off because he just loved his food. He was Bahamian Haitian, Bahamian but Haitian descendant, and from Florida, and Florida got all the different nationalities and good, so you got all the different type of foods, and he just loved his food. And of course, a lot of the foods he was eating were high in fat, and to the point where he got his leg amputated, and his kidneys started to fail. And he died at a young age, and that didn't need to happen. It did not. But here's another person who made the changes, and within 2 weeks saw the results. And within 4 weeks was at the doctor's office. And her doctor said to her, "I thought you were going to fund my grandchildren's education." As he was joking, she didn't take it as a joke. She changed that doctor. But he didn't expect her to get better. They're not expecting you to get better. It's not their job to expect you to get better or to do better. It's your job. And I know for many of us, food can be a struggle. When we're sad, we want to eat. When we're stressed, we want to eat. When we're happy, we want to eat. And unfortunately, when we're stressed and happy, it's not always to pick something that's good. It's not. There is weaknesses to food. For some of us, it's like a drug. And so we need that accountability. We need someone to hold us accountable. We need God for strength if you believe in Him. And if we can admit we need help in areas that we're weak, ask for it. I'm willing to help. And you guys can contact me on my website, sheiswhole.org, and let me know what help do you need. But diabetes is a disease that no one has to die of. No one. What is needed is just making some lifestyle changes. And I gave you a mouthful. And I'll do a recap. You want to change your diet. And if you're needing a meal plan, you can contact me at sheiswhole.org. But the diet needs to be changed. Watching how you think and handle stress needs to be managed. Finding healthy outlets. Going to bed at a proper time. Drinking plenty of water. Anywhere between 6 to 10 cups of water per day. Exercising. If possible, at least 1 hour a day. But whatever you can get in, something's better than nothing. Staying away from processed refined foods, commercial juices, sodas, candies, chocolates. Staying away from anything that had a mama. Your animal products and their byproducts. And if you're a vegetarian, not eating so much of fried and fatty foods. Making a conscious decision to say, I care about me and I care about my health. Getting some fresh air and sunlight outside. And if I were going to recommend any herbs, oftentimes it's not needed. But if there was some herbs I would recommend, it'd be dandelion. That helps with the liver. Milk thistle is said to help with the liver, the kidney, and the pancreas. Milk thistle. And burdock, which helps with cleansing the blood. But other than that, it's lifestyle changes and the thoughts. And that's all on diabetes. Until next time, be healthy. Bye-bye.